Good evening. Hey, gang. This one has a bit of a classic Hollywood plot line to it for the second episode of Batman Caped Crusader. So I couldn't resist doing a little homage. Now, it starts out with this actress, Yvonne Francis, being abducted. Last person to have seen her is millionaire playboy Bruce Wayne. So, of course, he gets called in of questioning by Officer Montoya. He, can't prove he didn't do anything, can't prove he did do anything. He says he left her off at this point, and so. Then, of course, Lucius Fox's lawyer comes in, and since, they either charge or let him go, they let him go. Montoya then goes to the studio where she's making a big film, and she questions the villainous co-star Basil Carlo. I wonder who that could be a reference to. Anyway, he says she was running with the wrong crowd. And he hadn't seen her until the start of this film, which Montoya immediately proves to be incorrect when she's checking out the stills from the publicity department and sees him in the background of one of her appearances. Well, Batman has taken to following Montoya because he's concerned about this missing person. And he follows her to Carlo's apartment, where he is been unalived with a knife. Ooh. But the killer's still there.
You criminal!
And Batman chases the killer, who has a bit of a deformed face, and he gets away. Now, at this point, we see Francis waking up on what looks to be a film set, and a makeup man putting makeup on her, saying she's got to be ready for her big scene. Wahahaha. Anyway, Dent is wanting in on the abduction case because he thinks it can help him with his campaign. Also, last episode I forgot to mention, they did introduce his two-headed coin that he likes to use to flip. The heads this, tails that, so he always wins. Anyway, he's rebuffed by Montoya, who just wants to find a girl. She's not a political animal. Next up, the producer of the film is the next victim. But nobody knows he's gone. Alfred is studying old films of Carlo and Francis for a clue. Not finding much of anything, but Batman, who got part of the scarf from the killer, does find a clue. A scratched off tag actually has the studio's initials on it, so it must have come from their prop department, which means whoever this mysterious killer is probably works there.
Precisely, Robin. The only possible meaning.
Next, Montoya then questions the wardrobe woman and finds that Basil was in love with Francis, but she was more in love with her leading man. And that was his looks. He's got the perfect face for villains, basically. So he's been going to the makeup man, who is doing some experiments, but then saw them have a very angry confrontation. The director is the next target, but Batman manages to save him, and they get into a sword duo, which is pretty good, especially around the castle set they're on, although it gets collapsed on top of Batman, who, under the stage, finds that the producer and her leading man are bodies are under there, and they've been dead for at least a day. And here's the thing, Montoya had already introduced the leading man at a time when he could not have been there. So, Montoya goes to question Alvin, the makeup man, at his home. Only for him to get slipped up in a lie and attack her. She punches him in the face, and her fist leaves an imprint in it. But he takes her out, unconscious. Meanwhile, Batman's gone to the morgue to look at Carlo's corpse and finds the face is malleable and that it is not Basil Carlo. So, at this point, the killer greets Montoya, who has woken up. He has strapped Francis to the pendulum that looks just like the one in the film Alfred was looking at. And he gives his monologue. Apparently, he is Basil Carlo. And Alvin had given him some treatments that made his face malleable. Although they don't come out and say it, but implied after a certain amount of time, it will revert back to the misshapen, melting look it has now. Because he gets tired, you're holding it in place. And he had gone to Frances with his new, awesomely handsome face, and she still rejected him. It had nothing to do with his looks.
Inconceivable.
So that's why he kidnapped her. And he's going to put her under there, and Montoya's going to watch as the pendulum completes its downward trajectory. Now, earlier, Batman, in the guise of Bruce Wayne, had, before he left the police station, slipped a bug on Montoya's coat. So that's how he's been able to follow her around. And he arrives in time to free Montoya before taking on Basil. And Montoya manages to free Francis just in the nick of time. And Batman pummels Carlo's face to a mushy pulp before he finally KOs him. About this time, Montoya, having freed Francis, gets her gun and puts it on Batman. She's going to arrest him. But then Flass and his partner Bullock arrive, giving Batman just the opportunity to slip away. At which time Montoya finds the bug. Not sure who put it there, but he's been in and around all the time. He could have done it at any point. But before destroying it, she says into it to let Batman know this isn't over. Ominous. A good setup for the next episode. Really like this one, the throwbacks to old Hollywood, and of course the original Clayface character of Basil Carlo. Although in his original stories, he wore a mask of clay based on a character he had played in one of his old movies. And yes, he was based on Boris Karloff. And especially with the animators, they made him look like Karloff, only with darker hair. Because, Karloff had white hair from like the 40s through, only in the 30s did he have that dark hair. Anyway, we finally get Montoya introduced, and she's a little heavy set, but I like her. And they give her a nice sardonic bit of sarcastic interplay with other characters like Flass and Montoya and Harvey Dent. A good mystery. I was thrown when Carlo looked to be killed. And I was like, well, wait a minute. This isn't going the way I thought it would. But then when they reveal it is Carlo, oh, okay. Good subterfuge. And even his Clayface character does look like the original drawings from the 40s appearances, the few he made, before he got revamped into Matt Hagen. I think it was Matt Hagen. Has a full body shapeshifter Clayface. But yeah, I'm really getting into this show. It's really good. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.